Greetings, humans. Me, Bob Harris, Senior Editor of FootballDiehards.com. It's time for the Week 3 Saturday Injury Review Preview Update Overview thing. Something we like to do every week and now needed more than ever, right? I mean, wow, what a what a brutal week last Sunday. Again, like I did last week, I'll give you some of the top names and then I'll go through them in the chronological order. I want to remind you, things change as the day goes on and we head into Sunday. Any major changes from what I say in this video, I'll put a note on the splash page to the video. Also, as always, check the headline news section from Saturday up through kickoffs to make sure you have all the latest. This is just setting the table, letting you know what's there the middle of Saturday, and then we'll update as needed from there. A couple things that we know for sure. Right off the top, Saquon Barkley done for the year, torn ACL. Christian McCaffrey out at least 3 weeks, probably 4 to 6 with a high ankle sprain. He's on IR, which means at least 3-week window. Michael Thomas out for Sunday Night Football. Devontae Adams is doubtful. By the time you listen to this, he may be ruled out. The team will probably travel at some point after I record this, and if he's on the flight, that means he has a chance. If he's not, obviously he doesn't. So you'll want to watch the main page of the site for more on Adams, and I'll put a note in the splash page if this changes. George Kittle's out, Raheem Mostert out, Tevin Coleman out, Jimmy Garoppolo out for the 49ers, A.J. Brown out for the Tennessee Titans, Cam Akers out for the Rams, Cortland Sutton and Drew Lock out for the Denver Broncos. Those are some of the bigger names, just if you only have a few seconds to listen. Those are things you must know. I'll dig into these a little more in depth now and go through some of the game time decisions as well. Again, chronologically, so you have an idea of what kind of fallback plans you need. So Sunday's early afternoon window. Julio Jones, listed as questionable. Seems really uncertain to me. Did not practice all week. Obviously, he's been around a while. He doesn't need to practice to play, but the hamstring was an issue last week. He didn't have much production. And home game against the Bears, we'll see how he fares. That'll be one to watch right up through kickoff if we don't get resolution sooner. Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, Hayden Hurst, obviously all great plays. Whether or not Julio plays, maybe slightly better if he doesn't. Alshon Jeffrey, Jalen Reagor out for the Eagles going against the Cincinnati Bengals. Jeffrey got back on the practice field. He's maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks away from returning. Reagor will be back in November. He had thumb surgery. So not good there. Deshaun Jackson will lead the way at wideout. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, John Hightower, a handful of other guys, Greg Ward, all available to do production if Carson Wentz can pick up the pace a little bit. And there's been a lot of talk about that. You'll find stories about that in the headline news section about Wentz in particular. For the Raiders traveling to New England, Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller are listed as questionable. Josh Jacobs has a hip issue. If you saw the Monday night game, he played through it. He was getting treatment throughout the game, played really well. If you saw Darren Waller, also played really well in the win over New Orleans, heavily targeted. Both of them were very busy. I wonder if some of this downtime in practice this week wasn't as much due to the fact they just wanted some rest and maintenance on a short week. So you'll need to watch the pregame announcements, though, just to make sure they're active. Assuming they are, I would be fine playing either of them, even in a tough matchup against the Patriots. Henry Ruggs III, however, is not active. Knee and hamstring issues, so he will not play this week. Brian Edwards off the injury report. On the other side of the ball, James White had the tragic accident last weekend. He was scratched, a kind of a surprise scratch. His father was killed in a car accident. Mother was badly injured, so he will not play again this week, and you'll want to watch and see when he returns to the team. In the meantime, Rex Burkhead gets a little more run, along with Sony Michel with White out. Julian Edelman and N'Keal Harry both listed as questionable for this game as they were last week. I would expect both of them to play. Both of them heavily targeted in this offense. Not much behind them, right? I think Jacoby Myers and Damiere Byrd are the only other receivers on the roster. Matthew Slater also listed as receiver, but a special teams guy. Cam Akers ruled out against the Buffalo Bills for the Los Angeles Rams, had the rib injury. Sean McVay said as the week progressed that he kind of expected maybe he could play through it. Then as we got into Thursday, he started downplaying that notion. Friday, he was ruled out. Malcolm Brown is off the injury report. He fractured a pinky last week, had a procedure to repair it. He will be available to play. Darrell Henderson Jr. seems like he's good to go. Maybe will be the lead weapon, but obviously they trust Malcolm Brown. You wonder with a hand injury, though, will they trust him with those premium carries? We'll see. But it'll be the Henderson-Malcolm Brown show there. On the other side of the ball, Zach Moss has been ruled out. The rookie running back has a toe injury, so he will not play. Dawson Knox, the tight end, also out. So clear path to workload for Devin Singletary there. as I mentioned at the top, San Francisco 49ers playing at New York. Again, the same field where they lost like 5 guys. That includes, Nick Bosa, includes other defenders, and also includes Jimmy Garoppolo out with a high ankle sprain. Tevin Coleman out with a knee injury, couldn't miss up to 4 weeks. Raheem Mostert, knee injury, not as severe. He may be back sooner. George Kittle had knee injuries, 2 knee injuries, a sprained MCL and a bone bruise. He might have come back this week, but maybe concerns about the field are keeping that. So he is out again this week. So look for Jerick McKinnon and Jeff Wilson Jr. to get the bulk of the workload in the backfield, maybe with Wilson being the kind of the between the tackle guys, and McKinnon continuing maybe an expanded version of the role he already had as a receiver and general offensive weapon. Jordan Reed will continue to be the primary tight end. Ross Dwelly in the mix there too, and Nick Mullins will start at quarterback. So we'll see what they can do against the Giants, who will play Dion Lewis, Wayne Gallman. They signed Devonta Freeman. I don't know what I would expect from Freeman. I know a lot of people are excited about him, getting him on their waiver wires. It's his first weekend. He's not in football shape, hasn't played for quite some time. Nobody has signed him up to this point. I suspect there's a reason for that. Last time we saw him, he wasn't great. Look, running backs can catch lightning in a bottle and do surprising things. I think I would expect more Dion Lewis this week, and I'd kind of play it by ear with Freeman, and we'll see where it ends up. A.J. Brown, again, out for the Titans for second straight week. He has the bone bruise in his knee. So against the Minnesota Vikings, it's a great matchup. More Derrick Henry, more Jonnu Smith. Had a great game last week. More Corey Davis, maybe more Adam Humphries. So we have that. For the Washington football team at Cleveland, Steven Sims Jr., the slot receiver, is questionable with a toe injury. They don't have a lot of weapons there, right? They've been talking about getting the running backs more involved as receivers, something we already expected. We haven't seen it for Antonio Gibson or J.D. McKissick. They've been kept into pass protected. So Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas, the tight end, have been the primary weapon. So I don't know that Sims' loss would be a big deal. Maybe we'd see McLaurin work inside more. For the Houston Texans going into Pittsburgh, tough matchup, right? Steelers, their injury report's clear. I know there was concerns about Juju Smith-Schuster earlier in the week. He's fine off the injury report. Said he would be, and he was. Deontay Johnson has a lingering toe issue. The third heaviest target load share for any receiver in the NFL behind DeAndre Hopkins and Darren Waller is Deontay Johnson. So Steelers are healthy. Nobody on the injury report. I don't know if anybody's healthy already. But on the other side of the ball, Duke Johnson questionable again. Seems up in the air. Kenny Stills added the injury report on Friday as questionable with an illness, so we'll see what goes from that. He's outside the top 3 receiving threats. Brandon Cooks off the injury report with the quad injury. He was questionable last week and played reasonably well. Will Fuller disappeared. People thought he was hurt. He has not been on the injury report at all this week, so that doesn't mean he's necessarily not uninjured, but he's not enough to limit him in practice or get him on the injury report. So that's one to watch. This is a very tough matchup. Sunday's late windows. Christian McCaffrey out again. High ankle sprain. Mike Davis will pick up the workload. They promoted Reggie Bonifant from the practice squad earlier today. He was kind of the sub last year. I think it's this Mike Davis show we saw last week. Didn't get a lot of carries, but heavily targeted after McCaffrey was gone. Expect him to pick up the full workload. More in-depth articles on that in the late breaking news section as well from earlier this week, and there will be more on that today. I have an article going up later Saturday afternoon. I'm recording this in the middle of the day. I have no concept of time. And so, don't expect too much, to change offensively beyond the personnel, though. I mean, they're going to have to rely on someone, a lot of dump-offs to the halfback, etc. So Trent McCannon is also in the mix there, too. For the Los Angeles Chargers, we have Tyrod Taylor is out. We saw the drama last week. Had a rib injury, apparently fractured ribs in the game against the Bengals in week 1. Was getting a pain-killing injection right after the coin toss and before the national anthem. And next thing you know, they punctured his lung. So Justin Herbert starts. He will start again this week. He played reasonably well last week, so this may be the changing of the guard here. Bad luck for Tyrod Taylor. Justin Jackson, the running back, is doubtful. Joshua Kelly, Austin Eckler, great matchups against a very generous Carolina Panthers defense, generous to running backs and to tight ends as well. So Kenny Golladay, Detroit Lions, are at Arizona. Golladay says he's not quite 100%, but he's going to do everything he can to play. Patrick Peterson is not the Patrick Peterson we once knew, the Arizona cornerback, but still a pretty tough challenge for a guy who maybe isn't full speed. So that'll be one you'll have to watch in the late afternoon window. He is questionable. I will have his status in the 90 minutes leading up to kickoff on the main page of the site. Christian Kirk on the other side of the ball has been ruled out. Denver Broncos will be playing Tampa Bay, hosting Tampa Bay. Jerry Jeudy's listed as questionable. He practiced fully on Friday, so I'm guessing it's a rib issue. I'm guessing he'll be good to go, but Vic Fangio is calling him a game-time decision. Philip Lindsay got back on the practice field Friday, still listed as doubtful. Seems like he's a week away, so Melvin Gordon will get the bulk of the workload again. Drew Lock out. Jeff Driscoll will start at quarterback. Fared pretty well against Pittsburgh last week. We'll see if he can keep that roll going. Cortland Sutton, of course, season over with the torn ACL. For Tampa Bay, Justin Watson, the wide receiver, fourth receiver, is out with a shoulder injury. So that clears the path. I mean, Chris Godwin cleared and back and healthy. Mike Evans is healthy as he has been. He's not on the injury report this week. So Scotty Miller removed from the injury report on Friday. Gronk just there to block, he says. So far, he's right. The New York Jets are at Indianapolis. What a mess. Adam Gase said earlier this week, anyone with a pulse would be playing wide receiver. The number of guys available maybe even more limited after Braxton Berrios was added to the injury report on Friday as questionable with a hamstring issue. He caught a touchdown last week, filling in for Jamison Crowder. Crowder's out again this week. Brashad Perriman out. Denzel Mims still on IR. Chris Hogan and Josh Malone are the two healthy receivers on the roster, and I don't think Chris Hogan's entirely healthy. He's not on the injury report, but he took a big blow to the ribs last week and missed a little time. So concerns there. They're not great, the Jets offense. You know, in case you missed it, Le'Veon Bell also on IR, so he's still a week or so away. I think he's eligible to return week 5. So it'll be Frank Gore, LaMichael Pirine, Josh Adams, Kalen Ballage, all in the mix there at halfback. Jets offense a mess. On the other side of the ball, Jack Doyle listed as questionable. Seems like he's heading towards returning. It'd be a quick turnaround. He has knee and ankle issues, missed last week's game. Seems like he'll be back. Mo Alley Cox fared really well in his absence last week, but the expectation is both of them will be playing this week. But you'll have to watch for that game time decision in the late afternoon window. Paris Campbell on IR. He'll miss at least 3 weeks with a knee injury. Sunday night's game, as I mentioned, Michael Thomas ruled out with a high ankle sprain. No surprise there. Devontae Adams listed as doubtful. Again, that could change as the team makes the trip to New Orleans later today. So watch the main page of the site. Watch the splash page to this video. I'll have a note there if it changes and he rules out. He's ruled out if he doesn't make the trip. Or if he does make the trip, I'll have that as well if we learn about it. And otherwise, that decision will go right up to kickoff. But doubtful is not a great designation. Also for the Saints, Ty Montgomery's listed as questionable. He was added on Friday with a hamstring issue. I don't know if anybody's going that deep into the Saints roster right now. And by the way, Traquan Smith seems to be the play. Without, so far, Emmanuel Sanders has done very minimal, been minimally targeted, minimally productive. I can even speak when I try hard enough. And so, we'll see if that changes over the course of time. Drew Brees not playing great. Alvin Kamara is. So there we had that. Monday Night Football. Sammy Watkins been limited in concussion protocol. Giving him until Monday. I think he'd probably make it, but that'll be something to watch. The injury report, the official injury report will be out later Saturday. So check that when it comes out and watch, again, the late-breaking updates for more on all these players and any other issues that arise. As always, I'll go right up through each kickoff, give you the inactives on Sunday. So in the 90 minutes leading up to the early afternoon kickoffs, we'll have those inactives. And I'll have articles on all the game day inactives, but we'll have the full inactive list as well. Just hit the inactives link. In the meantime, tons of video and audio content. The Football Diehards podcast from earlier this week with myself, Justin Lernero, and Kyle Dvorchak. Covering DFS plays, the prop bet show from earlier today with Jen Ryan, the Scholars draft sheet of knowledge is available now. DraftKings sheet of knowledge is available now. All Kyle's DFS content. Gary Davenport's the Shadow Nose IDP tip sheets. Justin Lenero's digging in the crates. Other videos as well. We'll have the live video on Sunday morning, 2 hours before kickoff. So check that out with Jason Brady and Emil Cadlick. I'll be live on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio with Jeff Mans. I'll be on Saturday night too on SiriusXM NFL Radio and Fantasy Sports Radio simulcasting 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So get on that. Myself and Mike Dempsey, Football Diehards on SiriusXM. And good luck this week. Hopefully we have fewer injuries in this one and you get big wins. We'll talk to you next week.